Yeah, tell me.
All right. We got here Ernesto again. Ernesto, how you doing?
Good stuff, Rick. Thank you for having me.
All right. He wants to go into AI, so we're gonna have an AI conversation here. So make sure to sit down because you're gonna love hearing this. Okay, so where in AI do you want to actually have a conversation on?
Yeah, so you asked me what do you want to talk about. I said, well, I got AI. I'm up to my ears with AI day and night, and it's true in a good way. I'm really excited about it. I'm also exhausted because there's so much to keep up with. So how much of that can we cover? Not all of it for
Well,
sure.
we're gonna cover it all right now in the
Yeah,
next 2 seconds. Go for it, though.
and that's it, right? Because it sounds ridiculous the fact that hey we've got so much to talk about. So let's scope this. Let's
Okay.
talk about a particular area that it has my attention now, and that's governance, AI governance. Right.
Wow.
A lot of folks are today working, including myself, maybe you.
Yeah.
You would walk out in Winwood and you throw a rock and you hit somebody who's at a keyboard working on AI. And that leads to the fact that in many organizations, you've got all of these different teams working on their own AI solutions.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot going on in trying to organize that in a systematic way. There's not a lot of conversation about the governance, about the strategic direction, and how we actually are going to work together in such a way that we're not stepping on each other's toes, or worse, that we're not breaking things.
Love it.
So the idea of governance is now what's occupying a lot of my time. And I've been harping on this for quite a while with different companies, and
Right.
a lot of my writing has been around that. And now I'm seeing it hit that pinnacle where
Wow.
everybody is looking for a solution around what is the framework, what is the structure, what is the governance. And this looks nothing like what we have done in the past. This is completely new. This is completely different. This is not a scrum master who is now using prompt engineering to do their work. This is
Love
an entire new way of thinking about how do we bring the human and the agent together? How do we get them to collaborate? How do you keep up with someone who doesn't sleep or has 20 other brothers and sisters who are doing the same thing? Those are agents, right?
it. Yeah.
And now we're coming in the morning and we're saying, hey, agent, how you doing? The agent is saying, well, I've been hard at work. Where you been? Right. So we need to rethink this entire process. And that's really what's occupying my mind
I don't know, guys. I don't think we're going to be able to get through this. This is a lot of stuff going on, right? With the agents and the agents managing other agents, and then you coming in there and trying to figure out, and the governance. That to me is probably the most. You're right that for some reason they haven't paid as much attention to it, and it is starting to come up. But think about it, they just give you here's ChatGPT. They think that that's AI, and go ahead and run whatever you want to run and try to figure it out by yourself in your own little world, and not have that whole coordination, that whole supportive kind of conversations. Guys, this is where it's at, and we're not going to be able to do it by ourselves. I think that's the big thing. We get excited, we spend a lot of time, and then we realize, my goodness, I put all this time and effort, but I'm still here. If I would have worked as a team, if I would have worked across the organization, how much would we have been able to accomplish?
I love that. One of the articles that I just wrote and published is the idea that we need a combination of both, right? We need the human element. We still need to have those touch points. Without them, we're just spinning our wheels, creating more of perhaps the wrong thing, right? We need to be very, very strategic, and that strategy comes by the conversations that we have. The execution, however, has completely changed. How we're executing that, it's a different
Yeah.
deal. What I've just mentioned earlier comes from experience. I started creating agents, and when I was doing it, I said, "Wow, this is amazing! I can do so much. How do I apply what I know in a way that is more structured?" Oh, I know. I will create agents that have a persona. I create a scrum master, I create a product owner, I create a developer, I create a publisher, I create a monetizer, and now I have a team. And they all have their specific personas. They're all doing their work, and I actually am now thinking, well, why don't we apply the events to that,
Of
right?
course.
Let's make this an actual Scrum team that can
Yeah.
work together. Great, worked perfectly. I arranged my stand up. I arranged my sprint planning. All good. I can
Looks
do it
good.
with a single keystroke.
Wow.
All of the agents come up, and we have an update, and we have a conversation, and I do my
Wow.
thing. Here's what happened. What happened was very interesting. As that matured, as those agents matured, and I did that. For those of you that are curious, I'm happy to have another session where I'll
Yeah,
show
of
you the
course.
technical part of that. But as those agents matured, I realized that was the bottleneck. I was the one they were waiting for.
Wow.
The system could have moved a lot faster, but now because they're waiting for me to press that button, not much was going forward. So how do we actually create a system that is continuous?
And what you said was key, right? Because remember, there's a trust factor there. And in the beginning, there is very intensive human in the loop. But when do you start drawing back a little bit to start saying, okay, now you could take on this?
Yeah.
So that maturity level is also very important. So you're governing a certain way at this point, but how are you governing at this point? Right? So that's like a different taste to what we're doing. Guys, this is big. And what I'm thinking, just so you know, is I'm actually going to have an AI governance kind of panel coming up. And I'm going to see how that's going to work. Maybe I invite him to go. You know, that would be great. And we'll see what we can do to convince him to go in. But that would be great. So again, that's the
Thank you
awesome
for all
job.
you do, Rick. Appreciate it.
Great job, guys. Make sure you reach out to him. Have a good day.